coming up. There's plenty bad. Bland, all about investors that we easily saw over at Gucci. So let's be serious, guys. Are we getting another regurgitated Alessandro Michele Gucci over at Valentino? Or is he on to something? Now, if you've been following the news in the fashion realm, then you all know that Alessandro Michele was recently, and by recently I mean only 2 months ago, announced as the new creative director over at Valentino, and already he has dropped 171 looks. He's literally been there for 60 days, and we already have 171 looks for Resort 2025. Now, instead of, like Burberry kind of did with Daniel Lee, kind of building it up with like cryptic social media posts, Alessandro Michele just dumped it on us all in a Zoom call, and literally iconic power move. Now, a lot of people on the internet I hear the chatter, I hear what they're saying, like, is this Gucci 2.0? Swap the V's for G's, like what's going on? But if you truly understand the history of Valentino, I kind of can see where Alessandro Michele is coming from. Now listen, we heard the same story over at Gucci when he first joined Gucci. Well, I mean, he'd been with Gucci for quite a long time, but before he took over as creative director, he really did a deep dive into the archives. He's done the same thing here at Valentino, and I think there are some things that he did really well, and there are some misses and just some filler pieces. So for me to kind of digest this collection, I had to break it up into 3 parts. The bad, which trust me, there's plenty bad. The good, and the exceptional. And when Alessandro Michele does something well, he does it oh so well. I cannot wait to dive into this a little bit further. But before we do, you all know what's coming up. Hey guys, my name's Caleb. I post luxury and lifestyle related content 3 times a week. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Consider joining the membership. We have an awesome community. We're doing a members meetup soon, which I'm literally so excited about. I'm ready to do some big shopping. Before we get into the meat of the conversation, like before we get into 171 looks. Like, the fact that this man could do that in 2 months is literally astonishing. Let's kind of start at the beginning. Like, let's figure out what he means by, I looked at the archives and was inspired. So let's kick it off in the 1960s, 1964 to be exact. So it all started in 1964 at an event, as it often does. Jacqueline Kennedy saw her friend Gloria Schiff, who was also, I think, the twin sister of Consuelo, who was also friends of Valentino and worked at Vogue. It's a whole convoluted long thing. But Gloria Schiff was wearing this beautiful 2-piece black organza ensemble at an event, and Jackie's like, bet, bestie, like, where did you get that? And she's like, oh, I've got you covered. It's a new designer, Valentino. Jackie Kennedy fell in love. Now, later that year, mind you, in September, I believe, Valentino was supposed to be showing at the Waldorf Astoria his collection for charity at a charity event. And Jacqueline Kennedy wanted to go so badly, but she couldn't. She had a lot of things going on that year. And so she called the designer and he said, listen, I've got you covered. I'm going to send a model, a sales representative over to your home. I'm going to send some key pieces. So they met at her Fifth Avenue apartment. Jacqueline Kennedy fell in love. She actually ended up ordering 6 pieces that afternoon, all in black and white, that she wore during the year of mourning after her husband was assassinated. So not long after, Valentino and Jackie quickly became friends, and he even ended up designing the Valentino wedding dress that she wore when she married Onassis. So you have to kind of think, like, fashion-wise, what's happening in this era? We're seeing a lot of 2-piece suits, ensembles, hats, things of that nature. Now, fast forward into the 70s, this is kind of where Valentino really took off and came into prominence. So in the 1970s it's kind of a departure from the more buttoned-up aesthetic of the 60s. The 70s brings a lot more free-flowing fashions. You have a lot more ruffles. You have the midi and mini skirts that were huge. You even had like the peasant aesthetic with the dirndl skirts, the off-the-shoulder blouses, blouson sleeves, layers, ponchos, you name it. And aside from that, towards the late 70s, tailoring is key. Listen, we saw the 40s and 50s played a huge role in, as far as the inspiration goes, for late 70s. Into the 80s, think like Joan Collins, Dynasty, that aesthetic. So we're seeing a lot of really good tailoring, broad shoulders, shoulder pads, tailored trousers, beautiful, effortless pieces, but they're tailored within an inch of their life. And that's something that Valentino is really kind of came to be known for. And in the mid-80s, he became so popular that he even slapped his name on a denim collection, which, I mean, we had the Gloria Vanderbilts of the world and everything, but it was kind of a big risk in the mid-80s because we saw what happened to Halston with the JCPenney debacle. Overall, like the 1980s also for Valentino, it was an opulent display of overconsumption, of wealth, of luxury, and lots of layered, beautiful jewels, like just a stunning aesthetic. And I think looking at some of what Alessandro Michele has tapped into. He's either done it really well, or it's like, okay, could have been seen at Gucci. So let's dive in, and I have some hot takes for this collection. So when it comes to Alessandro Michele's interpretation of the Valentino archives, what he did exceptionally well, he got those more structured, buttoned up aesthetics of the 1960s down perfectly with a lot of these two-piece suits, and with a lot of these like kind of like mod frock dress skirt moments. We're also seeing a lot of like turban-esque head wraps, which kind of play into like the 1960s, 1970s aesthetic. And listen, guys, some of these ruffled dresses are just above and beyond fabulous. Now, something that Alessandro Michele got perfectly exceptionally well done was a lot of these like more full-length evening gowns. Now, Valentino, especially through the 80s, very well known for his evening and cocktail attire. And Alessandro Michele, he's really tapped into that. We have a lot of beautiful ruffles, lace, we have a lot of good plays on patterns, which, listen, Valentino was no stranger to. I also see a lot of good tailoring, because again, for the Valentino aesthetic, especially for the menswear, good tailoring was key. It was paramount for his collections. We've also really nailed it with some of these more peasant aesthetics. With the dirndl skirts, we've got the blouson sleeves, off the shoulder moments. And I also think he kind of tapped into that whole Jacqueline Kennedy late 60s era with the more kind of the buttoned up skirt suits, the two-piece ensembles, and just like those beautiful creams. Because I think, what was it, 1969? Valentino just showed a collection of just white. So we've got a lot of that represented in here. Now, to the naked eye, or to the person who maybe doesn't understand the Valentino history, the aesthetic, if you will, the archives, I could see that this would be a major, just take the G's off, slap some V's on. But there's a lot of good Valentino history here at play. We've got a lot of the aesthetics. And listen, much like Alessandro Michele, Valentino is no stranger to the ruffles, the layers, the mixture of patterns, the bold elements of fashion. And I think that Alessandro Michele has done that exceptionally well for this section of the collection. Now, for the good section, these are pieces that they definitely lean into that aesthetic. Like, I can definitely see where the inspiration's coming from. Again, we have a lot of like the cream tailoring. We have those mini skirts. We have, a good play of like the furs, which was huge for like the 1930s, 1940s, which, Valentino was kind of pulling from when he was in charge. But some of this, it's good, but I could also have seen this at Gucci, kind of. I do appreciate what he's doing with the Valentino V, with the new pattern, the new aesthetic, but some of these I could have done without. Now, I love Alessandro Michele, and I think what's super important is having him back in the fashion space, especially as we're seeing, for lack of a better word, a blanding. Like, everything is so bland, all about investors, all about, consumer, commercial, ease of wear, just like easy to sell pieces. Like, no one's really being inspired anymore. Like, we're seeing the same things over and over and over again. And what I really hate over at Burberry, Daniel Lee came out of the gate ready to fight, like came out with some beautiful bags, the night bag, whatever, the shield bag. We had some amazing, amazing pieces at Burberry. Like, I mean, some of the pieces he's brought, like, we haven't seen pieces this exciting from Burberry since Christopher Bailey left. The shareholders, they're seeing slumping sales. They're telling him like, hey, pull back, kind of dumb this down, which is such a shame. Just let him do what he's supposed to be doing. And we're kind of seeing that across the board. We have prices being slashed over at YSL. Kering isn't doing very well. Sabato de Sarno, I don't think his vision of Gucci is fully fleshed out yet. And I don't know if it's like the shareholders like not allowing him to do so, because remember, they wanted to make it more elevated. So it's important to me that we see someone who's able to think outside of the box, to bring these layers, these, I don't know, it's kind of like if Wes Anderson had like a fashion collection, this is what we would get, which is kind of fun. It's a moment, it's a vibe, right? But there are some things where he didn't get it right, in my opinion, and these could have been pieces that we easily saw over at Gucci. I mean, some of these pieces I even swear that I own from Gucci, like some of these capes and men's blazers and things, but I mean, even though like they're not amazing, they're not bad. Like, I get it. These are going to be like your more easy to sell commercial pieces. Whereas before, we're seeing like very over the top, elegant Valentino, right? Let's talk about accessories, because this is going to be, accessories is the main powerhouse of any fashion house. Like, this is where they're going to make their bread and butter. Like, don't get me wrong. The markup on ready to wear is literally insane, but not a lot of people buy ready to wear. Like, in my mind, like, they're probably thinking, if I'm going to spend, like $2,300 on a blouse, I might as well spend $2,300 on a handbag. I get it. But with these accessories, I'm both excited and disappointed at the same time. Now, when it comes to Alessandro Michele, one of my favorite things during his era at Gucci was the jewelry. Like, jewelry is something that he gets impeccably correct, and he's done it again here, which is super exciting. We also see some new handbag silhouettes. We've seen some updated versions of bags that have been a mainstay over at Valentino, and we've seen some things that are very similar to what he was doing at the end there at Gucci, like the new Valentino flat bag. It's kind of giving 1955 horse bit, if you know what I mean. But again, this was such a classic shape back in the day. Like we saw this at Celine, we saw this probably at Valentino. I'm sure he pulled this from the archives. We saw it at Gucci. So like you can't really say that this bag is the 1955 Gucci horse bit, even though I think that we're just saying that because it's Alessandro Michele going from Gucci to Valentino. So take that with a grain of salt. Now, these shoes with the crystals, I literally had to do a double take because I swore the first time I saw them, I saw the Gucci double G logo. But when you zoom in, you can tell it has the Valentino V. I mean, obviously, hello, this isn't Gucci, but these are leaning a little Gucci, and especially those sneakers, IYKYK, in an orange drink. Speaking of jewelry, this brooch, you guys, is phenomenal. Like I will be knocking down the doors at Valentino to see some of this jewelry. The handbags, I mean, some are good. Like some I could take, some I could leave. One is just a direct, I don't want to say ripoff, but you can tell he's inspired by his Raja tote, which was ever so popular over at Gucci. And of course the shoes are good. Valentino is known for shoes. I mean, hello, how long have we been looking at the rock studs? Don't lie, you know you have 2 or 3 pairs in your closet, no judgment, safe space. So it was important for him to come out of the gate and do shoes correctly. And I think he did overall. Like they have a good vintage aesthetic to them. I could see where he's pulling from the archives, especially from the 80s for the shoes, in my opinion. We're seeing a lot of the inspiration from like the 1940s that was so popular over on sets like Dynasty and especially Joan Collins' Closet. So I could see where he's coming out from the shoes. The necklaces are from another world. And again, hats. I think Valentino showed a lot of hats, especially in the 60s and 70s. So I could see why he did the turban, the different scarves, wraps, things like that. Totally makes sense. Like I see it. I see the vision. So overall, in my opinion, could he have edited a little bit? Did we need 171 looks for Resort 2025? Yes. I could have seen some editing. I think like a good strong 90 looks would have been good. Now, in my opinion, I love Alessandro Michele. Do not get me wrong. I know I've complained a little bit about him before, but overall, I think visionaries like him are super important in the fashion space. They keep things creative, but yet they still are able to make products that sell really well. I mean, look at the Marmont bag. Hello, that's had a chokehold on us for nearly a decade at this point. The Dionysus, the Raja collection. So he is well known for being profitable. Like Gucci had a chokehold on everybody in like 2018. I just remember what a fun time that was. I think that the Alessandro Michele aesthetic is so strong. And I think I read this on an Instagram comment. Someone said that creative designers and creative directors, they all have their own handwriting, like their own signature style. And maybe at times it can be a little heavy-handed. Listen, check this out. Like what if we did like a Phoebe Philo moment? Like, you know, Phoebe Philo was able to like take a break, kind of reset, come back and basically give us like what Celine would have looked like in 2019. What if Alessandro Michele just spun off and had his own brand? I think that would be incredibly profitable. I for one would love to see it. So I don't know. I think we're in for some really good things over at Valentino, and I'm kind of excited to see them back on the map as far as like big fashion goes. So what do you guys think? Like is this Gucci 2.0? You can be honest, it's a safe space here. Like, do you see the vision? Do you see the history? Do you see the archive? Or is this just like we're swapping out G's for V's? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I for one am here for it. I had to digest it, like I said, and split it up into like 3 very specific categories to help myself understand it. Because listen, when he's good, he's amazing. But when it misses, it misses. And there were some misses in this collection for me, but overall it is a win, and I am super excited to see Valentino in the future. So let's get a conversation, guys, going down in the comments. And until next time, stay safe, have fun. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.